What up, what up? It's Deckmaster J. Welcome to the channel. So glad to have you here. So what are we up to today? Well, it's the end of an adventure, and I want to give a shout out to all those amazing games, those fresh faces, fresh voices, fresh ideas that we've been exploring this whole time. And since I want to make sure that I don't screw anything up, we're going to do them in alphabetical order, all right? So, all right, get ready. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, just check through this list and, go check them out on the old Insta. Check them out on the Insta, baby. That's right. Let's go TCG land. All right, here we go. Kicking it off with Alpha Class. The hell's this? What's 5 goddesses? I haven't heard of this. All right, I haven't heard of Academy of Arts. What the hell? What's going on? You said all of them, so you gotta take the good with the bad. No, I didn't mean like every single one, man. I wanted the ones that made me popular and look smart because they gave me money and free stuff. Wait, is this gonna be running the whole time? Screw that. I don't have time for this. I gotta go make a TikTok. Screw this. Dreams are good things to have, but they need to be weighed in reality. I think for the last couple of years in TCG land, there's been a lot more dreams and a lot less reality. So in this final episode of Decks and Drafts, this final episode of the Temper-Tantrum trilogy, as it has become, I want to discuss that. And now we've got years to look back on, and we can show some accountability, we can show some results, some metrics, and I want to talk about those things and what I see and what I kind of hope for the future. Because I'm not going to lie right now, I'm not going to lie to you, I've lost faith in indie TCGs. I've lost faith in the Kickstarter, the entire Kickstarter model. I don't see a single thing coming from it turning into something of any real value or definitely any real interest. There's been nothing innovative. And you can see that even the meager attempts to try at it have not gone anywhere. So this is going to be kind of a final download of things. Yeah, we're going to see where it goes, and we're going to see if we can find some hope in my final moments here and with this channel. But before we jump into that, let's get that final beer for the day. So final beer for the day, or I should say final beer for Decks and Drafts. Sorry, not for the day. I'm probably going to have another one for the day. But final beer for Decks and Drafts is the Great Divide Yeti S'more Imperial Stout. And I like the idea of s'mores here because one of my favorite movies, quickly becoming one of my favorite movies in the menu. And the s'more is described as the most offensive assault on the human palate ever contrived. And I think that is a wonderful way, with a word change here and there to kind of describe the TCG industry as well. So yeah, the most offensive assault on the human hobby ever contrived. Let's talk about the Kickstarter brand cardboard byproduct that we've been dealing with. So I know that it's not a stout class. I know it's not a stout class, but whatever. It is the final go. The final run. This one's a 9.5, I think, % as well. So, I'm ending pretty well. Look at that. Even a good pour. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Cheers, you guys. But damn if it ain't good. All right. Here we go. 15 on the clock. Here we go. Okay, so let's just recap my journey really quick before I jump into the garbage. So I started this channel about 3 years ago. I jumped back into TCGs about 3 years ago as well, with Flesh and Blood. Alpha Investments was pushing Flesh and Blood. They were just getting started. It looked interesting. Like the game looked really fun. And there was an excitement of owning things. I loved the cold foils. Fiendal Spring Tuna is like the first card that I saw that was like, okay, I've got to get my hands. Like I really want to try this game out. And it was really hard to get into, but it was really fun to kind of come back to it. I was able to get my hands on a little bit, and then it was around the time that everything was just going nuts. So 400, 500, 600% value. So in the back of my mind, especially because I was bored during COVID, I'm thinking, wow, maybe I can have the best of both worlds, where I can play this awesome game, and I can have something that has just like this, the ability to fund itself, basically. And you forget the golden rule about collectability and about anything, anything along those lines is for people to make money, it requires more people to lose it. That's really that's the golden rule of collectibles. And I kind of missed that. Not that I like went bankrupt or anything like that. There was a little bit of a time where I was able to make some decent money. Not a ton, but I was able to make some decent money. And it was like, oh, this is a cool flow. This is a cool rotation. So from there, I created the Learn to Play kit. I switched over my channel into much more of a marketing focus. I found a bit of a niche in this industry, and I'm so thankful to all of you for being a part of it. Even, I've got my ups and downs. I definitely have some of my spicier thoughts and things like that. I definitely have also made my fair share of enemies. I fully expect some of them to comment here, as they have done very recently. But it is a lot of fun. It's been really cool to be a part of the kind of the TCG space in the bit of the unique way that I brought. The Learn to Play kit brought in over 8,000 downloads. It was responsible for thousands of players and hundreds of stores jumping into this game. Maybe dozens of stores, maybe 100. No, you know what? I'm going to give myself hundreds. It's been responsible for a heck of a lot, as well as launched a couple of countries, and I feel really good. I feel really accomplished for the things that I've done here, from being able to do this channel, to being a part of podcasts, to actually getting published in an industry magazine, not just like not like a fan website, but like an industry magazine, being able to write the lead article, being able to write the cover article for GAMA, for the Game Manufacturers Association. That was really cool. I've loved this journey. But from that, I also jumped into the wider realm of TCGs, and that's kind of where the darkness started. Originally, it was interesting, at least. It was so cool to see so many people wanting to jump in and explore new ideas. The term Renaissance era, or a new golden age, those things came up quite often, and there was a little bit of a time where I kind of believed it too. How cool is it that all these people who are creating games, who want to create games, are able to do so courtesy of things like Kickstarter, and there's an audience that is jumping into it and saying, we would like to give you that chance. Until that wasn't the case at all. And it started to be a big question of, wait, what exactly are you giving these projects? What are you trying to get out of these projects? Because it became very hard to believe that it was to create a game. And to create a game that would exist in kind of a similar model to all the things that I knew about card games, going into local game stores and having, the booster pack, booster box thing. Like, take a look at the list as we've been going through, and look at the amount of money that was being asked for, especially in the ones in green that were successful. Think of the ones, like, what are you trying to accomplish with like $1,000 or $100 in some cases? Like, what are you trying to gain here? What are you really hoping for? As well as you also start looking at the backer counts of, this thing raised like $10,000, but there was like 10 backers. Okay, I don't really see what the business model moving forward is. And it became very quickly apparent that there just wasn't one. There was no business model. It was, I can make a thing that will be able to bring in money, and that's, I'm just going to make the most out of that. And that was what happened. MetaZoo kicked that one off, where, boxes were going 8,000, 10,000, 12,000, and it became very money, very a luxury experience to be a part of this game. And everybody jumped on, and soon everyone and their mother was turning foils into serialized. There were 12 lines of rarities. There were secret drops. There were Kickstarter stamped things that were going for crazy. And you had creators everywhere, trying to convince the masses that this was going to be the next big thing, that this was going to be the thing, not even in grand scheme of the industry, because I don't even think they knew what the industry was, but at least enough that they'd be able to get money. And what that ended up leading to was you had these communities that would jump into a game expecting to be able to flip it for cash, and then they would flip that successfully and leave behind a community that bought into the FOMO thing, but had no actual clue what to do with the product from there. People didn't know how to turn this into a community, or bring this to a store, or take this from the level beyond Kickstarter. And that sucked, and it got really dark really quickly. And this thrill of seeing exploration stopped looking like a thrill of being of new ideas. And it just started looking like scams. It started looking like lackadaisical, just half-assed garbage. And in some cases, there were scams. Maelstrom, $500,000. Guy fakes his own death. Gets caught in an airport. How brilliant is that? Titan, creator dies. I don't know if that was like self-inflicted or not, but people who picked it up looked and said, he never had any intent to print this thing. Like, this is $100,000. He had no plans to print it. It's just over and over. Not that like those types of stories just happened over and over, but you have to look and question the priorities. You have to look and question whether or not it was just, I just want to make this game because I'm going to be able to get, like, it's in a space where I can easily get it funded and I can push stuff out. I'm like, okay, that stopped making sense, because then you go back and you start looking at what those games were. And there are a few new unique mechanics that are out there. I love seeing the tactical things like Genesis. I love the resource system in Grand Archive. I think it's brilliant, and they just need to not fuck up their releases. But really, what you had these categories: basically Magic, basically Yu-Gi-Oh, basically Yu-Gi-Oh clones that look like Pokemon, bad anime sketchbooks from high school that had words on them now, and then something nostalgia. That was your categories. That's your list of Kickstarter. Everything basically belongs in one of those buckets. I'm like, okay, great, neat, awesome. And they would just vomit out this garbage. But because they had a foil or a serialized or a stamped or a thing, best thing ever. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. No plan afterwards. The Temper-Tantrum era, I've described it multiple times. For those of you who are brand new, as we hit the halfway point here, it is the era of TCGs where games did not need to prove themselves on the shelf in order to be seen as successful. That's where they were. And that's kind of what is going on for the last 4 years. And it sucks. And I absolutely hate it. But now we get to see that accountability. Now we get to look at the hundreds of games that have come out, that have failed, that have gone nowhere, that have shown that, yes, maybe they can get an audience, but that audience is maybe like a few dozen people. Just screw the thousands of people on YouTube who are like, screw the thousands who are following you on Instagram, that the rate of actual like conversion there is less than 10%. And from there, people don't even know what the fuck to do with the product afterwards. They just fizzle off and become like little Discord drops here and there to try to maintain relevance. That's right. I'm looking at you, MetaZoo. I'm looking at you, Back Alley Mages. There's a number of them that I'm looking at. Just what nostalgics? Like, what the hell are you doing? And I think one of the challenges and one of the things that sucks, and this is huge in even the ones that have kind of gone further, like Flesh and Blood, is that there's an addiction to the state of gray. I urge you in this, in my finale, to go beyond the state of gray and acknowledge that there can be answers to things. It can be black, it can be white. Things can be wrong, things can be right. Period. But instead, we get the community stuck in gray. Oh, it's all speculation. It's all hype. It's all the best until it suddenly isn't. And then you move on. Because there's hundreds of games. There's a next thing out there. And unfortunately, there are some groups that have enough capital to be able to play the odds. I can invest in all 12 of these things, and if 11 of them die and one of them works, I've made my money back, and I can convince you that I'm the smartest fucking person alive. While 11 of them tank, and not everybody has the ability to do that kind of stuff, and at the same time, this should not be the game. You should not be playing roulette with Kickstarter games. That's just not how it fucking works. It's not how it should work. It's kind of how it is working. But they'll keep you in that state of, oh, just wait. Just you wait. Even Flesh and Blood is dealing with this now, trying to talk about like EV and market stupid crap. Like, oh, you just wait. Just wait. It'll turn eventually. Shut up. Sometimes things can be right. Sometimes things can be wrong. Be okay with that being the case, like right now. It is wrong right now. Gray maybe later. But that's where we're at. And the thing that I think is the most telling, I should probably drink a little of this. The thing that's the most telling is how little all of this success has meant in the grand scheme. Just the gaming industry. Yes, seeing something like Lorcana come in, is huge. But that's a big company that did that. All this Kickstarter success, over 100 successful Kickstarters and campaigns, and some of them millions. Like 2 of them, I think, like millions. But like some of them are nearing the $1 million mark. Some of these should be bigger stories. Yet the industry continues to struggle. TCGs continue to be a liability amongst themselves. You're telling me that after all of this, that all of these attempts, all of these games coming out, this massive audience following videos and following creators and all of this crap, you still can't break in as a serious genre in the games industry? Yeah, for sure. Like, people are taking a look at things like Lorcana because it's so hype and so huge and it's Disney. But these littler ones, no. And you talk to an LGS about their feelings toward TCGs, and more often than not, you're going to be like, we don't want to touch them. No, thank you. No. How is everything that we can boast about being success, next big thing, all the grands that we're doing, all this, this awesomeness from thousands of people, how are we still not able, how are TCGs still not able to do anything that gets the broader spectrum to take a look seriously at this industry and say, you know what, that might be something worthwhile? I don't think that's the case. Not even Lorcana right now is in that space, because there's a whole bunch of questions of, well, what happens when Lorcana actually hits MSRP? This is, what? That's not a question that you should be asking. But that is like that's the concern from the community. And I have to look at it and be like, you know what? Actually, maybe it's not the worst question in the world. I look what LGS has had to go through in order to even just like have people not get pissed at them for marking it up 25-35%. And you see stuff go back to MSRP. You look at the online masses who are buying things at wholesale and then flipping for way the heck a lot less because they don't have overhead. So that's not cutting into it. LGSs have to compete with that also. And I can't help but wonder, is this whole model just bad at this point? Like, maybe it's not the games. Maybe it's not the businesses. Maybe it's not the people. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely some crap with businesses and people. But maybe the entire model is kind of fucked right now. Like, look at Flesh and Blood. Look at the games that even are able to sell at MSRP. The margins are so low, and the only way you can kind of make up for it is go through the process of events. Go through things like organized play and having prize structures. But I have to laugh at Commander and the fact that Commander is still like the hottest shit out there, and it's something that doesn't need organized play. Is people just want to play games. How have we not figured this out in the last 3-4 years? Why are we still trying this garbage in Kickstarter brand cardboard byproduct land, thinking that this thing that is pretty, that has pretty art or pretty foils, is going to make a dent where it matters? Instead, it's just going to get stuck in this community of like 20, 30, maybe 40, 50 people trying to convince who? Who are you trying to convince that this is something worth investing in? I don't think this is a thing that's going to change anytime soon. And as I kind of end this, as I hit my final minute, I want to encourage you all to think maybe less about how do we make the right game, how do we make the right product, but maybe this whole thing, maybe this whole journey has just shown that we need to rethink the business model. We need to rethink how everybody interacts with this or how they can interact with it. Maybe organized play is the wrong way to go. Maybe we are demanding too much of LGSs for absolutely no fucking profit, all things considered. Who follows that along? Maybe we need to rethink how we, how do we buy? Is booster boxes the right way to go? Do we need to really rethink the word trading in trading card game? I would love to see, moving forward, the industry and new ideas really explore what it's like to actually evolve this product. Not new mechanics, not new game things, not new foils, but this industry, TCGs, they need to change entirely. We've already proven it doesn't work. I'd like to thank all of you for being a part of this 3-year journey of mine. There have been highs, there have been lows, there's been madness and insanity. There have been things that I've been probably very wrong on. I've had my own spicy takes. But also, I am so thankful to you for engaging in a very civil conversation. Even in the times where I had some pretty wild takes out there, the comment sections were a lot more respectful, and they dove in quite a bit into having a good dialogue back and forth of, what do we do about this? Or is there something to think of where everybody can move forward? I appreciate the discourse. I appreciate the intelligent conversation, and even sometimes the unintelligent conversation. If anything, it helped me feel stronger in my convictions. As for me, though, that ends the journey of Decks and Drafts. This was a fun opportunity. This was a fun little experiment. And I want to kind of go back to really just valuing my time, valuing myself a little bit. There's no dark reason for me to be taking down this channel, or not taking it down, but ending new posts. It's just, it felt like it was the right time to do it while I kind of explore the things that this industry has let me refine, and take that somewhere else, take that somewhere where I can maybe get some real value out of it, personally and professionally. This doesn't exactly pay well or anything like that. But that's where I really like to spend my free time, and I have my own flesh and blood to take care of, so these things are limited. But you might still see me pop around some, I might do a little writing here and there, I might pop in a podcast. I'm still paying attention to the industry, but for now, thank you all so much for everything. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever do something like this, and I never expected so much of what I got out of it. Cheers to 2024. And yeah, thank you for being a part of the journey. One final time. Cheers, everybody.